Hey students, in this video I'm going to go through the answers for the chapter 9 cumulative practice. So number 1, which statement can be represented by a negative integer? So I'm looking for the one that could be represented by a negative number. Option A, the temperature rises 15 degrees. The word rises means it's going up, so this would not be negative, it would be positive. Option B, a hot air balloon ascends 450 yards. So the word ascends also means it's positive. It means it's going up. Ascends means to go up. So this one is not correct. You earn $50 completing chores. If you earn $50, your bank account is going up. That's a positive value as well. And then finally, a submarine submerges 260 feet. Submerges to go down into the water. That would be a negative value. Also, just a quick side note that the opposite of ascends is to descend. Descend would be negative. Ascend is to go up, positive. Descend is to go down, negative. Number 2, the volume of the prism is 5,880 cubic inches. What is the height, h, in inches of the prism? So first, we're talking about volume. So let's remember that the volume of a rectangular prism equals length times width times height. I'm also going to go ahead and label the length, width, and height on this. So length, width, and then height is already labeled there. Now, instead of multiplying together length, width, and height, I actually don't know the height, but I do know the volume. So I'm going to replace volume, length, and width with the numbers here. So volume is 5,880. Length is 30 times width, 12 and 1/4, times height that I do not know. So my goal is to figure out what this missing value is. So I'm going to solve it by drawing my line through my equal sign. Now I have two different things happening to h, so I'm going to undo them one at a time. So first I'm going to undo times 30 by dividing by 30 on both sides. That would still mean that we have the 12 and 1/4 times h. I didn't get rid of the 12 and 1/4 yet. Now, I do believe they'd give you a calculator for this, but just in case they don't, let's talk about how to do 5,880 divided by 30. So 30 does not fit into 5. It would fit into 58 only once. That 130, 1 times 30 is 30. I want to subtract. 8 minus 0 is 8. 5 minus 3 is 2. Bring down the next 8. Now I'm going to figure out how many times 30 fits into 280. So 30, 60, 90, 120, 150, 180, 210, 240, 270. It looks like I can get up to 270, and that's 9 of them. So 9 times 30 is 270. Subtract 8 minus 0 is 8. 8 minus 7 is 1. 2 minus 2 will be nothing. And then bring the 0 down. Now I'm going to put 30 into 180. So 30, 60, 90, 120, 150, 180. Fits 6 times to give us exactly 180. So I have no more remainder left over. It fits 196 times. All right, I'm not done yet though. I still need to undo this times 12 and 1/4. So I'm going to divide by 12 and 1/4. And now I'm going to write that over off to the side. So I need to be doing 196 over 1 divided by 12 and 1/4. I'm going to write that as an improper fraction. So 12 times 4 is 48, plus 1 is 49. Denominator stays the same. Next, I'm going to keep change flip. So keep 96 over 1, change to multiplication, flip the second fraction. Now, cross-canceling, it does seem kind of difficult with these two numbers, but one thing I'm going to suggest is if you have some weird numbers, see if the smaller one fits into the larger one. You would most likely get a calculator for this, and you could find that, yes, it does. It fits 4 times, and 49 fits into itself once. 4 and 1 won't get any smaller. That way, when you multiply across, 4 times 4 is 16. 1 times 1 is 1. I get 16 over 1, which is just 16. Those undo each other. So there we go. I know that the height is 16. That is what is missing. Now, I know that seemed like a lot of steps, a lot of work. A couple suggestions. One, you might get a calculator to make some of these little parts a little simpler. Another thing is if you wanted to multiply these together first before dividing, you could do that. And the final thing is if you know what a fraction is as a decimal and you get a calculator, type it in as a decimal because in this case, our answer ended up just being a whole number. So you could have rewritten this as 12.25. if you wanted to, and worked through it in that way. There's also tons of other ways, but this is just how I'm showing you number 2. I know this one is a pretty complicated one. Number 3, which is the solution of the inequality? 2/3 x is less than 6. So I'm going to draw a line through my inequality symbol. 2/3 is being multiplied by x, so I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to divide. Times 2/3 divided by 2/3 undo each other, leaving only x left over. Oops, that was my bad. I shouldn't have put an equal sign. I should have put the same symbol from above. And now I just need to do 6 divided by 2/3. So keep 6, but I'm going to make it 6/1. Change to multiplication, flip the second fraction. 2 fits into both 2 and 6, so 2 fits into 2 once and into 6 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. 1 times 1 is 1. So I get 9. X is less than 9. Number 4, the number of hours that each of 6 students spent reading last week is shown in the bar graph. From the data in the bar graph, which measure is the least, the smallest? So I'm going to go through and find each of them, mean, median, mode, range, and find which is the least. So the mean, that's when you add all your values and divide by how many there are. So 7 plus 10 plus 12 plus 3 plus 10 plus 6. That's going to be divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now when I add all of those up in my calculator, I'm going to get 48. And 48 divided by 6 is 8. So the mean is 8. Next, let's do median. Median is the middle, but I need to put it in order from least to greatest first. So 3, 6, 7, 10, 10, 12. Now there is no middle number. If I try and count to the middle, there's 2 in the middle. So the median would be between them, and I can find it by adding them and dividing by 2 by finding the mean of them. 7 plus 10 is 17. 17 divided by 2 is 8.5. Next, I'm going to find the mode. The mode is the value you see the most often. The only one that's even repeated is 10, so that's the mode. And finally, the range, that's the greatest value minus the least value. So 12 minus 3, which is 9. So out of all these, the least is going to be 8, the mean. Number 5, which list of numbers is in order from least to greatest? So we have all negative numbers. Remember, in the negative world, whatever is further away from 0 is less. Further away from 0 is less. So it's like the opposite of positives. Like if I made these all positive, I would think about putting it in the opposite order from that. So -1 is definitely not the least. That is way closer to 0 than all the rest. So I know it's neither G nor I. Now, it looks like the main difference between these two, between F and H, is they have the -3.6 and the -3.06 in different spots. So I need to decide which is closer to 0. Well, if you imagine them as money, I can put a 0 on the end of this here. $3.60 would be further away from 0. It'd be like more money than $3.06. So in the negative world, that means this one is actually less. So this would be the correct answer. 3.60 is less than 3.06 because its 6 is in the 10th place. This one is in the 100th place. Again, think about them as positives. This is more money. So in the negative world, it's actually less. Number 6, a family wants to buy tickets to a theme park. There are separate ticket prices for adults and children. Which expression represents the total cost in dollars for A, adult tickets, and C, child tickets? Well, I know that I would want to add the adult tickets total cost to the child tickets total cost. So the adult amount plus the child amount of money. Now the adult tickets are $30 per adult. So $30 times the number of adults, which is A. And the child tickets are $20. So $20 times the number of children, C. So that's going to be option H. I want to multiply $30 times how many adults there are plus $20 times how many children there are. Number 7, the dot plot shows the leap distances in feet of a tree frog. How many leaps were recorded? This is just asking how many different dots are on here because each dot is a leap length that was recorded. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 leaps were recorded. Option 8, what is the value of the expression when a equals 6 and b equals 14? So I'm going to replace a with 6 and b with 14 in this expression. Remember, when the number touches the variable, it means they are multiplied. So I'm not going to put 0.8 with a 6 next to it. It's going to say 0.6 times 8. Or, sorry, 0.8 times 6. I said that backwards. Plus 0.02 times b, not just with b next to it, times b, which is 14. Okay, now according to GEMDAS, I need to do grouping symbols first. Now there are grouping symbols, but there's nothing actually inside the grouping symbols to do. So I'm going to skip that. There's no exponents. I do have multiplication. I have it here and here. So I'm going to start with that. So when I do 0.8 times 6, I'm going to move the decimal 1 to the right so that it's 8. 8 times 6 is 48. And since I moved the decimal once, I'm going to move it back in once, 4.8. Same thing over here. I'm going to move the decimal twice to make it 2. 2 times 14 is 28. Then I'm going to move it back in twice. 1, 2. So 0.28, 0.28. Now I can add these together, addition and subtraction. I'm going to stack them and line up their decimals. So I can put a 0 in that empty spot. 0 plus 8 is 8. 8 plus 2 is 10. Write the 0, carry the 1. Drop the decimal down. 1 plus 4 plus 0 is 5. So 5.08. Number 9, which property was not used to simplify the expression? So here's our original expression, 0.3 times y plus y times 0.7. So let's see what they did first. Well, the first thing they did, it looks like they kind of switched the order around. They moved these two around. The second half looks the same, but they swapped the order. Swapping the order is called the commutative property. So they did use commutative property, so that's not what I'm going to choose. All right, so let's look at what they did next. Well, next it looks like we might be tempted to think they changed the grouping, but they actually didn't, and here's why. Do you see how now there's only 3 things when before there were 4? Well, that's because they noticed that y was multiplied by 2 different things. So they said, well, if I rewrite it like this, I can put the y on the outside, and it automatically should be multiplied by both the things in the group, and that is called the distributive property. They just did it backwards. They said, oh, because y is multiplied by both things in a group, let me rewrite it like this, y times the entire group. So we're not going to choose distributive property. All right, next, they recognized that adding those together would create 1, and when you multiply y by 1, you just get y, and that is called the multiplication property of 1 because it tells us what happens when you multiply by 1. So the only thing they didn't use was the associative property. They never changed the grouping. They never took grouping symbols and moved them to a different spot. And finally, number 10, what are the coordinates of point P? So remember, it goes x, then y, x across, y to the sky. So across, we moved 3 to the right. That's going to be positive 3. And then y to the sky, we moved down 2. So that's going to be negative 2. So I want 3, negative 2.